Hey guys, DJ here, taking you from a weak bod to a Greek god. Today I am really excited to be interviewing Steigler, one of the fitness experts that helped design the key components of Weak Body Greek God program that helped many guys put on about 15 pounds of muscle in just a few months, including myself. Today he's going to drop some knowledge on you to help you do exactly the same. Thank you so much for joining us today, Steven.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So I want to start off by asking, what was it like before you transformed, before you really got into fitness? What was your life like, and what got you into the industry, and how has your transformation looked like over the years?
I would say that typically, as guys grow up, like any guy in high school, you want to get bigger, you want to increase more muscle, you want to get jacked, you want to look like the football players. I didn't play many sports. I didn't grow up playing many team sports, competitive sports, but I wanted to change the way I looked, and I was pretty scrawny. I mean, I grew up kind of chubby, but then I lost that baby weight, that chubby weight, whatever it was, after junior high, and then you get into high school and kind of a scrawny guy, and I'm like, okay, what can I do? How can I change the way that I look? And so I started working out, started to see some progress, started to see my body grow. I loved what happened, and then I took it to the next step. I got into the nutrition, into the lifestyle, and then from there, it all, transpired into what it is today and being a whole process.
Nice. And what were your kind of numbers, statistics? Were you like 120 pounds,
I was,
140?
if I kind of go off like that 16-year-old when you get your driver's license number, I believe I was 142 pounds
Wow.
and 5'7", so I was pretty tiny.
Yeah. And now, what are you at?
Right now, I'm at about actually 160 pounds and
Nice.
5'7". Still, same height.
Nice. It's probably a lot more muscle now.
That's right. It's a lot more
A
muscle for
lot,
sure.
yeah. Different recomposition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And why is health and fitness so important to you? And why should others take their health and fitness so seriously?
Health and fitness is one aspect. I mean, absolutely, fitness is a part of health, but I think people need to improve themselves on a daily basis. People need to improve the way that they look, the way that they feel every single day. And I think I love motivating people in order to become, better and really look and feel their best. And I think fitness is a huge aspect of that, as well as the other key components to health.
Yeah, it's such an all-encompassing kind of characteristic,
Absolutely.
Yeah. When it comes to your clients, what are some of the biggest challenges or frustrations some of your guys have when they're trying to put on muscle? I mean, what's challenging? What's so frustrating about it?
I think some of the biggest frustrations and challenges that most people have is a lack of information and education. Well, let me rephrase that. It's a lack of the right information.
Right.
Many people, there's so much out there that I think, using the bro science or reading into all these different magazines and the stuff that's available to us, there's so much information, and you kind of get overloaded. You think, okay, this is it. This is what I need to do, and then they do it, and nothing happens. And it's because that doesn't work for every single person, and it's kind of a paralysis by analysis kind of gig.
Yeah. You mentioned the phrase "bro science."
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Some of the viewers probably don't understand what that means.
Bro science, from my understanding, is the simplification of the complicated processes in the body and how the body reacts to different things when it comes to diet and exercise. Like just consuming protein every 2 hours, or having 25 grams or 30 grams, frequently throughout the day. Certain things that people just kind of talk about in the gym, and the stuff that gets deemed as the standard or the typical.
And what's like the most common misunderstanding?
The most common misunderstanding. I'm not sure. I would say the most common misunderstanding is,
Or let me rephrase it.
yeah.
Sorry. Well, what's the biggest mistake guys make when they're first starting out and trying to put on muscle? You know.
The biggest mistake that guys make is overcomplicating things. In reality, all we need to do is get in there and lift some heavy weights and lift them well, lift them safely, activate muscles, learn how the body works, and just keep doing it. Keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. And people typically stop too early. They create variation and they have a lot of variety in their workout program, and they may not need it yet. They're really not tapping into the full potential of each exercise or each simple movement that they're doing. They go from a barbell bench press to maybe doing a barbell incline bench press or a dumbbell bench press, and they're like, well, why not just keep benching and just do that and see how much you can get out of that? But they're basically overcomplicating things when they don't need to. They just need to get in there and lift some heavy weights.
Totally. Totally agree. A lot of times, I don't know what it is about people, but they have like gym ADD or something. Like they can't stick to a program for more than 4 weeks or something like that. They're like, oh no, I must be plateauing. I got to change something about it, Yeah. But in reality, you barely scratched the surface on the potential of that one lift. Like you said, bench press, like people, try to switch it up with dumbbells, incline, whatever, flies, all these.
Like, do I go here, 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 here? What about this position? It's like, just do it. Just do it and do it well. Learn how to do it and then keep doing it.
Yeah.
Get better at creating that connection into the muscle and contracting it properly. And yeah.
Don't fix what isn't broke, right?
Exactly.
I remember you told some of the guys that when when they finished their training program, they were like, oh, now what do I do? How do I change it up? It's like, dude, it's still the beginning. Just because you committed to finishing this workout in this amount of time doesn't mean that workout is not still gonna help you and be very effective.
Yeah.
For many more months to come. Totally agree. You kind of already touched on this, but want to bring it out. During your transformation, when you first started out, what was the main difference that allowed you to succeed where all the other guys just kind of fail?
Consistency. Absolutely consistency. I always, preach to my clients and my athletes to be consistent and to be disciplined in what you're doing, because in reality, if you keep trying different things, you're not consistent with your workout program, or you're not consistent with your nutrition, or even your sleep, then things are going to be thrown off. It always goes back to the scientific method, having a controlled environment, trying to keep things as consistent as possible. And then when things are working, what's working. When things aren't working, you tweak something and see if it helps you. And if it does help you, you keep doing it.
Love it. That's the exact methodology that I follow, and I always recommend to follow. A lot of people are like, okay, so how many calories should I eat?
Yeah.
Man, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat? Okay, wait. So should I eat an avocado or an almond? It's like,
yeah, right,
dude. Yeah, like, in reality,
24 almonds instead of 22.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Nah, dude, that's gonna make you fat.
You ruined it. We're all done.
Yeah, but if you just, like you said, stay consistent for one,
Sure.
And see how things are working, and then adjust accordingly, then everything will just fall in place, and you can create your own plan, and that's pretty much, the most effective way to change.
It's experimentation, absolutely.
Experimentation, exactly. So right now, you're kind of at a different level. You're at an elite level of fitness. What does your routine look like?
My routine, I currently love my routine. I fluctuate different parts of the year. I like to emphasize different things. Sometimes I'll be lifting strictly for strength. Just like the weak bod to Greek god program, there is a big strength emphasis in there, kind of like the like the 5x5 approach with lifting weights. I mean, just getting really strong in the gym can be fun. So that being said, throughout the year, I try to emphasize different things. And right now, I'm really into detailing my body, into a little bit more of the physique enhancement arena, right? So really having a nice base. I've definitely over the past 6-7 years built a nice foundation, and now I kind of want to see what my potential is as far as sculpting, right? Sculpting the body and sculpting my physique to see what I can do. So I'm really trying to make that connection in my mind and make sure I'm stimulating certain muscle fibers in certain areas of my body. It's not isolation, but I would call it more segmentation. Making sure I am doing a body part split program, emphasizing 1 to 2 muscle groups per workout, and making sure I fully develop and make sure there's balance within my entire musculature and muscle group system. And that's pretty much it. Basically a split body part program, trying to optimize each area.
Wow, yeah. In the beginning, you said that you have built a foundation over
Absolutely.
the past 6 or 7 years.
You caught that.
That's yeah. That is like an incredible perspective, because so many guys go into the gym thinking they want to look like you, Steven. I mean, I want to look like you.
Right.
I'm like, dude, summer's coming up. How do I look like you? Yeah.
I want to look like you by summer. It's April.
Yeah. And it's usually people don't see the amount of consistent effort over the years. They're bombarded with all this marketing about 6-minute abs or whatever, like 6 to 7 years, and now you're at the point where you're sculpting and refining, and that's when you can start tweaking the different muscle fibers, etc. But up until that point, I mean, you're still building a foundation. So I'm glad you mentioned how long it took to build that up. Yeah.
I always tell all my clients, slow and steady wins the race. Whether that's a cop-out or not, I don't know. I am a firm believer that the longer it takes to achieve something, usually the more lasting it's going to be, or at least it's going to be of high quality. That's not to say that that's always the case. Right. I love getting short-term results, but in order to really, refine the process, it takes a long time. Yeah. And so, however, if something takes you, 2 days to build, if you can also lose that in 2 days, to me, that's not worth it. So like I said, if I can build a foundation, and it may take me years in order to do that, I'm totally okay with it, because I know it's going to take me a long time to lose that if I were ever to lose it,
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, I mean, if you think about the opposite, where somebody, graduates college and gets a desk job, and after 5 years they look in the mirror and like, holy shit, what the hell happened to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of 5 years, you slowly, little by little, didn't even notice it, but you let your body disintegrate. And the same thing can happen, the other way around. So. Yeah.
And it's nice to have that feedback too, like we were talking about earlier. When people start commenting on you and people see you from an external point of view, you see yourself on a daily basis, but maybe someone who sees you once a week or once a month, they're like, hey, you've really changed, or I really see these differences and these changes occur, and you're like, oh, thanks, I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah.
Hey, you're looking bigger, you're looking good. You're like, oh, cool, thanks. I didn't even see it.
Yeah. You can't see your hair grow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just notice it. Yeah, that's awesome. And what about with regards to nutrition? What are some of the main nutrition principles that you like to follow?
My man Sean Croxton. He's his acronym JERF, JERF. That's basically the first thing I tell clients: just eat real food. Eat food that you can pronounce. Taking things from Michael Pollan and all these guys who have really developed an appreciation for whole foods and real foods, and trying to eat things that don't come necessarily in a box or a bag and try to cook it myself. And so if the first thing is always just eat real food, eat high quality food, try not to eat processed, preserved crap, in essence. And then aside from that, I do believe that calories matter. I do, excuse me, I do believe that the amount of carbohydrates you're taking in, the amount of protein that you're taking in, as well as fat, even though on this whole kind of paleo-ish bandwagon, we want to eat unlimited amounts of fat and protein, which is awesome. Getting more protein in the diet is usually not a bad idea. But all of those things matter, but trumping all of that, trumping the macronutrient ratios, the meal timing, meal frequency, the composition of the meals and stuff like that is the quality of food. If you get that down, you got most of the battle done, and then you're talking about foundation now. We have the foundation, now we start to refine the process, and then you build everything on top of that.
And why is that? Can you give a kind of semi-scientific explanation as to why you should be eating real foods and not processed foods?
Scientific explanation. I think...
Is it like inflammation in your body? Is it
absolutely,
just not being absorbed?
absolutely.
Or, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so in terms of eating high-quality food and why that's important rather than processed and preserved food is really because it becomes problematic. If your body has a hard time digesting something, or it doesn't necessarily assimilate nutrients properly, then you may lose weight or gain weight without even trying to. And so when a food is problematic for someone, then it's not going to support their goals. And so some foods are going to be processed. Some foods may just be problematic. So if there's a bad environment inside of the body, then it's usually going to express itself on the outside.
Totally. It's like acne or whatever. It's just everything just kind of comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's from the root.
Yeah. And also, when people are trying to put on muscle, when guys are trying to put on muscle, they feel like they can eat whatever they want because the goal is to gain size, right? But
calories.
more calories, right?
Yeah.
But what happens if those calories are actually, hurting your insides? Then your recovery rates go down. Then your, absorption goes down. It's not just about, like how much you're eating. Then like there's all this other stuff that's happening that's the processed foods are damaging the internal system. So, even though you're getting more calories, you might not be putting on muscle. So
100%, man. I totally agree with that. If your body is not able, if you have made a mess of your intestines and your gut, where a majority of the nutrient uptake is taking place,
right,
then those nutrients are going to be lost. And so all that 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories that these guys are taking in, having mass gainer shakes that are 1,500 to 2,000 calories per shake, and they got all these processed ingredients and problematic ingredients in them. If you're creating a system inside where there's a bunch of leaks, there's a bunch of holes in your gut, then they're just going to basically leak right out, and you're not going to uptake those nutrients in order to and make muscle from the calories and the nutrients that we actually need. It's not even going to get there. It's like it's like you're on a road and there's all these potholes, and people are walking, they're just falling through. No one gets to the destination.
That's hilarious. That's a really good analogy, though. I like that.
Yeah. Just made it up.
Yeah. Your body's full of potholes.
Maybe there's a better word for that, but
yeah. No, I know in the Weak Body Workout program we kind of called it crapping cash, because you're spending all this money on like all this high quality supplements and stuff, and you're just crapping it out. So you're basically crapping cash.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, how do you feel about supplements? Do you take some? Are there any that you want to avoid? Which are the best ones, or what's your opinion on supplements?
So covering the basis of your nutrition with real whole foods is obviously step one. Um, that's been said multiple times. Many people believe that. You can't really argue with that. Aside from that, with supplements, I mean, you're obviously doing just that. You're trying to supplement your diet or whatever you're lacking by not eating certain foods with other, powders or pills or however you take it, whether it's, an herbal supplementation or maybe it is not necessarily as natural as possible, but it may be supplementing your diet in order to achieve a certain goal. So I am a fan of supplements. There's not a ton that I like. I'm very simplistic in my view of them. I think I could probably name off maybe 4, 5, or 6 supplements that I think most people can get away with having and incorporating into their routine. And then aside from that, I think some specific supplementation guidelines might be followed better from maybe an holistic doctor standpoint. Having a physician work with you and trying to fill the other gaps that certain amino acids or certain vitamins and minerals that we may not know too much about. But to answer your question, I do believe in supplements. Not very many of them, but if I were to name a few that most people can actually get away with taking and I think can benefit from, they would be a multivitamin to cover the bases, whatever they're not getting from their juice. They're getting maybe just a little bit extra of a couple different vitamins and minerals that they may not be incorporating into their diet. A protein powder, just because most people typically don't get enough protein in. And in order to really build that muscle, we have to be in that anabolic state. We have to have enough protein. And if people can't take in a lot of animal protein, then I think a protein powder, at least a high-quality protein powder, is a good way to go. And depending on where you live, vitamin D. I think vitamin D is pretty crucial. If you don't get out and get some sun, it's exposed on most of your body for at least, I don't know, I think the recommendation is 20 to 30 minutes every single day. I think vitamin D is a great one. And another one that I really like, which I recommend for most clients, is magnesium. I think most people are pretty deficient in magnesium. Maybe it's because they don't eat the right foods, but I think as far as digestion goes, as far as the enzymatic properties of it, those are probably like the top 5. Vitamin D is actually a precursor to hormones in your body, and so in relation to your mood, in relation to the way that your body digests certain foods and assimilate foods, I think it can help in that aspect. But the sun, getting outside, being in nature, I think that has such a huge impact on people. And if they cannot do that, if they cannot get out and get some sun, I think there's so many benefits to having vitamin D supplemented in the diet.
Wow, okay. And by getting sun, do you mean like shirt off, tanning, or just like
absorbing?
I mean, this is just out of my own curiosity.
Yeah. Wearing as little clothing as possible, but is publicly acceptable.
Run around naked 20 minutes a day. Yeah, that's all.
Just go for a 20-minute run naked. You're good to go.
Yeah, you'll get your daily dose of vitamin D. Nice. Cool. Mm-hmm. How has fitness influenced your life?
Fitness has taught me a lot of things. Fitness has taught me the importance of being consistent, having a routine, being disciplined, having goals. I think fitness is a huge part of anyone's life, no matter what age you are, no matter what gender you are, no matter what phase of life you're in. I think fitness plays an incredibly crucial point. We know how important it is to be active or to exercise. Whether we exercise in the gym, whether we exercise out at the park with our kids, with our dogs, with your friends, it doesn't matter. Just being active and being quote-unquote fit is a very relative term, very, very subjective term. And so I think fitness plays a huge part in the way that I conduct my life, the way that I look at everything around me. And to me, fitness also means that I am living a life of health. You know, fitness and health go hand in hand in my book, and I think you can't necessarily have one without the other.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And many people that are very ambitious tend to sacrifice their health and fitness in order to achieve other goals.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've kind of blended them together, and yeah, made it possible for, you know, not only to be healthy, be successful, but also to use them as advantageously together, you know, to achieve even bigger things. I think.
Yeah, I think balance. I think everything comes down to balance. You know, balancing nutrients, balancing exercises, balancing your stress, balancing your sleep. It's all a matter of balancing everything in order to create optimal health. You know, we're all on that journey of finding balance in every single aspect of our life. And when one aspect is out of balance, then everything else typically takes a hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you focus too much on one thing and you don't find balance by, you know, having everything else in order, then something else is going to slip by the wayside, and then that's when problems arise.
Well, guys, thank you, Steven, so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Such valuable information. Guys, if you have any questions for Steven, make sure you leave them in the comments below. I'll hound him and get the answers for you. No. No. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We'll try to get to answer all of them as quickly as possible. Also, if you like this interview and you want to see the full interview, make sure you click the link below, where you'll not only get access to the full interview, access to other interviews with fitness experts such as Elliot Halls, Vince Delmonte, Scott Herman, but you'll also get access to the Weak Body Guide program, which Steven helped design, and I actually used to put on 12 pounds of muscle and drop 4% body fat in just under 90 days. So check it out right here. Again, Steven, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, dude, you've been such an inspiration, such an influence in my life, in my fitness as well, since the beginning of my transformation. So I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to have you on today.
Hey, just like you guys say, we're all in this together, man.
All right. Thanks, dude. Take care.
You got it. Bye.